What's up? This is video 1 of a 3-part videos on wind. These videos should be watched. You can watch them by yourself or in maybe small groups. And as you watch them, you're going to be working through your reading guide. Do not watch these videos if you are not done with your reading guide. You should have read pages 100 to 107. So I'm going to be referring to those pages, and I'm going to be going through question by question of the reading guide. You can pause at any time, replay, go back. Okay, if I still don't answer all your questions, hit up the web. Okay, but this is video 1 of a 3-part series. I'm going to do page 1, page 2, and page 3 of the reading guide. The most important thing that I can tell you about wind, and that really at the meat of it all has to do with the fact that wind involves high and low pressure, H's and L's. Anywhere you have high pressure air and another area of low pressure air, air wants to get from this location here to where there's less air. So it will do that, and it will simply move from the high to the low, and this movement is what we describe as wind. Question number 1 here says, what is wind on your reading guide? So it sounds something like this. It's simply the movement of air from an area of high to low pressure. So if you look at the weather map provided, you see some H's representing high air pressure and L's representing some low air pressure. And so in general, wind is going to move from those areas of high pressure and blow towards those areas of low pressure. As that wind is blowing from areas of high pressure to low pressure, we use 2 instruments to get some measurements off of it. We like to know how fast the wind is blowing. We also want to know from which direction is it coming from. So the 2 instruments that we're going to use is an anemometer to measure the speed of it and a wind vane to measure the direction. So it says here that wind directions is reported or named based on where the wind is coming from. So if I say I have a strong north wind, that means that the wind is blowing out of the north. Number 4 on your reading guide says, toward what direction is a south wind blowing? So it's blowing from the south, which means it's blowing then towards the direction of north. Jumping back to number 2, it says, most differences in air pressure are caused by unequal heating of the atmosphere. And that is a true statement. And that unequal heating is really the biggest reason why we have wind, period. That unequal heating is what causes those differences in air pressure. So thanks to that unequal heating, we get high and low pressure, thus we get some wind. You know, I feel like nobody really likes wind. All it's really good at is, screwing up your game of frisbee or blowing your hair around. But let me tell you, wind can definitely be even more of a problem if it's combined with cold weather. So if you take wind, even on a fairly warm day, and you find out that it's windy, you're going to have something called the wind chill factor that's going to affect the weather. So if you look at this chart here, wind chill factor will cause a cooling effect based on how powerful that wind is. So today, the forecast is supposed to be somewhere in the 20s. All right, so your temperature there is 20 degrees. All right, but if we have a 20-mile-an-hour wind today or 20-mile-an-hour wind gust, the temperature to our exposed skin is actually going to feel like 4 degrees. So this is like last year when we had all of our cold days. Cold temperatures combined with high wind speeds will get you a wind chill that makes it feel so much colder than it actually is. And so that's kind of why we had a lot of those cold days, is because the wind chill factor was so high. We were over here, we were in the negative 30s and 40s below wind chill. So nonstop, the sun is constantly shining, and that sun is sending us that infrared radiation down to the surface of the earth. Unfortunately, the Earth's surface is rotating, and so the surface of the Earth is not evenly heated. So we say it is unequally heated. And because there are unequal heated regions, this causes what we call local winds. And the biggest reason that this happens is because land heats up quicker than water. Okay, and when you have hot air rising off of land, all right, it creates these differences in pressure, which then gives us our local winds. So at this time, I want you to conclude here on page 1 and take a look at the page 2 and page 3 videos.